What's up, everyone? It's Jarif, and welcome back to the channel. Now, you guys know I love a good challenge, and today we're diving headfirst into the world of animation. We're talking about cranking out over 100 frames of animation in a single day. It's ambitious, it's intense, and it's going to be a wild ride. Over the next few chapters, I'm going to take you through the entire process, from the very first sketch to that satisfying final render. We'll be breaking down my workflow, talking about the tools and techniques that make this kind of output even possible, and trust me, there will be challenges along the way. But it's not just about the numbers. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of animation, exploring different styles, how to weave a compelling narrative, and how to breathe life into your characters. So buckle up, grab your stylus, and let's get animating. All right, let's kick things off with the time-lapse. You're seeing the entire process here, sped up, of course, but I want you to really pay attention to how the animation evolves. It starts with a simple idea, a rough sketch to get the basic shapes and movement down. Then we move into refining those lines, adding details, and really starting to flesh out the character. This stage is all about iteration, experimenting with different poses and making sure the movement feels fluid and natural. Once we're happy with the line work, it's time to add color, texture, and bring this animation to life. And finally, we add those finishing touches, the little details that really make the animation pop. Seeing the entire process from start to finish, even in time-lapse, really highlights the dedication and layers of work that go into animation. Now let's talk tools. Mention your primary animation software, and it's my go-to for a reason. It's got a really intuitive interface, a ton of powerful features, and it just works. But even with great software, you're going to run into challenges. One of the biggest hurdles with animating so many frames is simply staying organized. That's why I break down my projects into smaller, more manageable chunks. I also rely heavily on layers, labeling everything clearly so I don't lose track of what's what. Another tip: keyboard shortcuts are your best friend. They might seem small, but those seconds you save with each shortcut really add up over time. And of course, no setup is complete without a good drawing tablet. I'm rocking the mentioned tablet name and model here, and the pressure sensitivity makes a world of difference. Having the right tools is important, but don't be afraid to experiment and find what workflow suits you best. All right, enough talk. Let's get our hands dirty. In this chapter, I'm going to walk you through the creation of a simple animation using the same techniques from the time-lapse. We'll start with a basic bouncing ball exercise, a classic for a reason. It teaches you the fundamentals of timing, spacing, and weight. We'll be using the 12 principles of animation as our guide, really focusing on concepts like squash and stretch, anticipation, and follow-through. Once we've got the hang of the bouncing ball, we'll move on to something a bit more complex, like a character walk cycle. We'll break down the walk cycle into its key poses, then add in-betweens to create that smooth, fluid motion. Remember, animation is all about practice. So, follow along, pause, rewind, and really take the time to understand the principles at play. By the end of this chapter, you'll have a solid foundation in the basics of 2D animation. Chapter 4, 2D, 3D, stop motion, exploring animation styles. Now, 2D animation, like we've been doing, is just one style among many. In this chapter, we're going to take a look at some other popular animation styles, each with its own unique strengths and weaknesses. We'll start with 3D animation, the powerhouse behind your favorite animated movies and video games. 3D brings a whole new dimension to animation, literally, allowing for complex camera movements and realistic lighting effects. Then we'll dive into the world of stop motion, a painstaking but incredibly rewarding technique where you bring physical objects to life one frame at a time. We'll also touch on some more experimental styles like motion graphics, which combines animation with graphic design, and rotoscoping, where you trace over live-action footage to create animation. Understanding the different animation styles out there can open up a world of creative possibilities. So, whether you're drawn to the charm of 2D, the realism of 3D, or the tactile nature of stop motion, there's an animation style out there for you. Chapter 5, the story behind the frames, inspiration and character. Animation is more than just moving pictures, it's about telling a story. In this chapter, we're going to delve into the narrative behind the 100+ frame animation you saw earlier. My inspiration for this project came from briefly explain the inspiration behind your animation. I wanted to capture the feeling of mention the emotion or message you wanted to convey through your animation. Character development was key to conveying this. I wanted the character to feel describe the character's personality and how it reflects in their movements and expressions. We'll take a closer look at how I used body language, facial expressions, and even timing to bring this character to life and tell their story. Remember, even in a short animation, every frame counts. Every movement, every expression should contribute to the overall narrative. By crafting a strong story and relatable characters, you can create animation that resonates with your audience on an emotional level. Chapter 6, Live Animation, Session Let's Create Together. All right, everyone, it's time to go live. In this chapter, I'm going live right here, right now, to animate something completely new based on your suggestions in the chat. Let me know what you want to see animated. A dancing robot, a mischievous squirrel, a dramatic interpretation of a toaster pastry. Hit me with your best ideas. As I'm animating, I'll be talking through my thought process, answering your questions, and sharing even more tips and tricks. This is your chance to see the animation process unfold in real time. So don't be shy, jump in the chat, and let's make something awesome together. Remember, the beauty of animation is that there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's all about experimenting, finding your own style, and having fun. So let's get creative and see what we can come up with. Chapter 7, The Speed Art Showdown, Can I Beat My Own Time? For this chapter, we're cranking up the pressure and putting my animation skills to the ultimate test, the Speed Art Challenge. Remember that 100+ frame animation we started with? Well, I'm going to attempt to recreate it from scratch in a fraction of the time. We'll have a timer running and I'll be pushing myself to work as efficiently and creatively as possible. Of course, with limited time comes tough decisions. I'll have to prioritize certain elements, streamline my workflow, and maybe even come up with some clever shortcuts. Once the timer stops, we'll compare the speed art version side by side with the original and see how they stack up. This is going to be a true test of my speed, accuracy, and ability to think on my feet. Let's see what happens. All right, it's your turn to show me what you've got. I'm putting out a challenge to all you aspiring animators out there. Create your own 100+ frame animation. It can be anything you want. A character animation, a kinetic typography piece, an abstract animation. The possibilities are endless. Once you've finished your masterpiece, share it with me on social media using the hashtag #100FrameChallenge. I'll be checking out your submissions and featuring some of my favorites in a future video. Don't be afraid to get creative, think outside the box, and most importantly, have fun with it. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Now, we've talked a lot about techniques and workflows, but what about the software and hardware that makes it all possible? In this chapter, we're diving deep into my animation toolkit, exploring the essential software and hardware I use on a daily basis. We'll start with the software, taking a closer look at the features and benefits of mention your primary animation software. Then we'll move on to other essential tools, like mention other relevant software like Adobe After Effects, Photoshop, etc. Of course, no animation setup is complete without the right hardware. I'll be talking about my go-to computer setup, drawing tablet, and other peripherals that help me bring my animations to life. Whether you're just starting out or looking to upgrade your current setup, this chapter will give you a comprehensive look at the tools of the trade. In this final chapter, we're going beyond the technical aspects of animation and exploring its true power, its ability to evoke emotion and connect with audiences on a deeper level. We'll revisit clips from the 100+ frame animation, analyzing how specific animation choices contribute to the overall emotional impact. We'll discuss how subtle changes in timing, spacing, and even the use of color can dramatically alter the mood and message of a scene. I'll also be sharing some of my favorite examples of emotionally resonant animation from other creators, highlighting how they use the medium to tell powerful stories and evoke a wide range of emotions. Animation is a powerful tool for storytelling, and by understanding how to harness its emotional potential, you can create work that truly resonates with your audience. And that's a wrap on animating over 100 frames in a single day. It was a wild ride, but we did it. I hope this video has given you a newfound appreciation for the art of animation and inspired you to try it out yourself. Whether you're a complete beginner or a seasoned animator, remember that the most important thing is to never stop learning, experimenting, and pushing your creative boundaries. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more animation goodness, and let me know in the comments what you want to see animated next. Until next time, keep animating.